country we live in and share together, Australia. There are two apologies today, Mayor Simmons and Councillor Bland. And I'll move on to the acknowledgements. I'd like to acknowledge that the Mayor is currently taking some leave due to health issues and that we wish him all the best with his continued recovery and look forward to him being back in the chamber. He was able to get back to the farm on Saturday for a brief visit and that went well. So good to hear that his recovery is continuing apace. I'd also like to acknowledge that this will be the last meeting for our CEO, Bridget Mather, as she'll be finishing up the week before the council meeting in January, which will be a later one on the 27th, and Bridget finishes with us on the 20th. So thank you for your 6 years of service. And finally, I'd like to acknowledge the absolutely horrible scenes that we saw in Bondi Beach this week. And I'd like council now to have a minute's silence in respect for those that are deceased. Thank you. Nobody should have to go through what those families are now going through at a period that should be joyous. We'll move on to the declarations of conflict of interest. Do any councillors have a declaration of a conflict of interest today? Thank you. Being none, move on to the confirmation of the minutes held in November. Do I have a mover and seconder for those minutes? Thank you, Councillor Coleman moving. Seconder, thank you, Councillor Maymont. Anything to speak to those minutes? No, thank you. Close.
Yes, thank you.
All those in favour? Thank you. That's carried unanimously. We'll move on to adjourned business. There is none. Reports by members. I'll note that the Mayor, Councillor Simmons, has a report in, and Councillor Maymont, Coleman and Roundtree. Are there any questions in the reports? Okay, there being none, we'll move on to petitions.
Sorry,
Councillor Coleman.
Can I just speak on my report, if I may, please? Thank you. As you can see there, my 3 months attended, but I just also would like to add that I and Councillor Roundtree, I don't know if there was any other councillors involved. I attended the very successful Taliban Christmas parade on Saturday, and actually was involved in it. And there was something like 31 floats and 10, 15 cars from the Auto Club. So that made it probably nearly a kilometre long. It was still up near the CFS shed and nearly down here to the old Foursquare shop in its old length. And I would estimate there was about 5,000 to 5,500 people. It was a big, good roll up. And while I've got the floor, Mr. Mayor, I'd also like to thank the community facilities and other parts of council which assisted in preparation and also the clean up afterwards. It was greatly appreciated. Thank you.
We'll see.
Thank you. Anything further while we're on reports? Councillor Arthur?
Yeah, I'd just like to report on the Christmas fair held at Tindy on Friday. It was a great turnout. And for the hard-working ladies, that organised it. I congratulate them, particularly Grayson and Shauna. It was very good, well thought out, because they changed the jumping castles to a water slide jumping castle, which was greatly appreciated by the kids. It was virtually really around the children. You had fairy floss machines, you had popcorn machines, all given away, and it was a great turn up. And it turned out a very late night. Actually, it was going to be a day show starting at 2:30 in the afternoon. It went through quite a long time, but it was a great effort, and I was amazed. I really was.
Thank you. Anything further on councillor reports? There being none, we'll move on to petitions, of which there are none, and we also have no deputations. Agenda item 8 today. And agenda item 9, public question time. I believe we have no public questions today. So that brings us to the decision reports. 10.1, first decision report, the appointment of an acting deputy mayor. Before we get to the recommendation, are there any questions of administration on this one before we go in? Being none, does councillor wish to take this recommendation as a motion? And councillor Coleman.
Yeah, I move the recommendation, and in point 2, Mr Mayor, I'll be nominating councillor Roundtree. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Coleman. Is there a seconder for that nomination? Councillor Mayment seconding. Councillor Roundtree, are you willing to accept that nomination?
Yes.
We have a substantive motion, I believe, at the moment. So, councillor Coleman, do you wish to speak to your motion?
I'll just briefly, I think Lisa is a willing person and capable person to step up in the position, and I think some of well, myself personally, I'm sort of pulling back on some of the committees, so I think Lisa would be more suitable. And she does a good job, and I've got full confidence in her. So that's why I think reason I nominated her. Thank you.
Thank you. Does the seconder wish to speak?
Yes, thank you, Acting Mayor. I agree with Councillor Coleman. Happy to nominate, and I'm glad that Councillor Roundtree has accepted the position. She's got good experience level now, much more than me, for example. So very happy for this to happen, and pretty much that's it, and good luck. Thank you.
Thank you. It all could being a motion, but are there any further nominations for the position at all? There being none, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Motion is carried unanimously. Move on to 10.2, the decision, the Disability Access and Inclusion Plan. Are there any questions for administration around this agenda item? Thank you, councillor Roundtree.
So much of the funding comments, sorry, in the document say to be delivered within the scope of the operational budget. And is there an idea of what areas of the operational budget are going to be trimmed to accommodate the actions?
I'll hand to the CEO.
Thank you, Mayor. Generally, most of the items that we looked at for this report were things that we would be able to do within the budget. So every year, over the course of the plan, it will be brought to you as part of the budget discussions. Some of them won't be significant costs. They're more about how you actually do your business every year. So then there is no one big ticket item if that's what you're looking for. This is more about smaller, the way you do business types of events and programs rather than a big ticket item, and it will just be into the budget. You will be aware every year of what's in there. You may decide that it has to be pushed out or that it can't be accommodated, and that's a discussion from year to year.
So that was going to be my second question. Will the actions that are required be brought back to council to review? And so the answer to that is yes. Yeah, thank you.
Any further questions on this one, councillor Arthur?
I'd just like to, after reading right through the report, there's a lot of things in that report that really aren't in council's scope. In my opinion, there's a lot of things that are not really council's responsibility, but we seem to be taking responsibility for them. Now, I think that really should be cleaned up because, we we sit here saying we're getting more and more pushed onto us with no money to do it. And yet we're writing a report which is inviting someone else to push it onto us to do. That is my comment on the plan.
Councillor Arthur, have you got any specific examples?
There's about 5 or 6 of them. I didn't write them down, but you know, like the perfect example probably is you know, a Canalpin store, the Canalpin post office. It's not our responsibility. We can't do anything about it unless we're going to set a precedent and do it for a private enterprise.
Thank you. Thank you, Councillor Arthur. I'll go to the Director, Miles.
Just, especially because we're being recorded, make it very clear the council doesn't have responsibility for private property. There's nothing in the plan that says we're going to fund or manage that issue. We have had requests to advocate on behalf of the community, and that's what we've done, and nothing more than that.
I suppose a lot of what's in here is also covered if someone does any, you know, private works or changes a store, for example. They'll have to put a ramp in then because it is part of legislation. But we can't go along and make people put them in.
Okay, to the CEO.
To you, and we're not doing that. I think the director covered it off quite nicely. There will always be occasions in private works where council is doing some works that we'll have a discussion if there's a private landowner involved in some connecting works. But that is what we do every day of the week. So whether it's a footpath or a road or whatever, that's not unusual. And there is nothing specific in this plan about that. That's how we do business always.
Well, thank you.
Any further queries or questions, Councillor Arthur?
Just on that one, obviously we're not getting anywhere trying to get that fixed in Canalpin. Would it be worth us asking the Post Office, South Australia, whatever they're called,
We have.
writing a letter for them or something saying, you know, we need this done?
It sounds like we have. I'll
To
go
you,
to the CEO.
Mayor. We have tried every avenue. Post offices are pretty much franchised now as well. So we could write to Australia Post. I suspect their interest, without being too disrespectful, is probably zero. And so because they are franchised arrangements, it is really up to the private individual to do what they do.
Any further questions around the plan?
Just a comment that there may even become a time in the future too where the post office may not always be in that building. So the problem may resolve itself at some point. Who knows? Not saying there is, but it's not locked into that building if for some reason the franchise wanted to move it, if something else became available.
I'll deal with the recommendation now. Is there a mover? Thank you, Councillor Roundtree.
Happy to move.
Is there a seconder? Thank you, Councillor Qualman. Councillor Roundtree, do you wish to speak?
No, I have nothing more to add. Thanks.
Councillor Qualman?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Any further speakers in debate for or against? There being none, you'll close.
Closed.
Put the motion. All those in favour? It's carried unanimously. Move on to decision report 10.3, rates postponement, special circumstances review. And is there any questions for administration before we deal with the recommendations? Councillor Qualman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Someone from the finance department give us a running valuation of actually how we're travelling with the regarding primary industry, how the rates are flowing in. Have we noticed a decrease or is it normal? Or has it picked up a bit, or there's a bit of confidence, or there's no confidence? Could someone give me some idea how we're going on that perspective?
Thank you, CEO.
You may. We expected maybe a little uptick in the claims for postponement with the latest rate round. We didn't get that. As you can see from, I sent the data a couple of weeks ago. We can send the most recent one, but it really has been a trickle in terms of requests for postponements, discussions around hardship. There's been no explosion of requests in that regard. And then the payment of rates from a business as usual point of view are pretty much what we expect.
Yeah, that answers your question, Councillor Qualman.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to know, because it helps me gauge this information or how we're going, so I can make on option one or option two, on how which one to go for now. Thank you.
Thank you, councillor Roundtree.
I think I would like to move option one. Mostly, I've read the report and we're not, I think it's a bad look to remove it at this point. If we're steadily managing it and it's not crippling the budget and things are in control, then probably just leaving the status quo for a bit longer, to me, would feel right for the district. I mean, there is still some pain out there, so I think it would look a little bit, it's a bit too soon to remove it, from my opinion. So I'm happy to test it with option one and see how we go. But I would like to move that we take on option one, and that the financial hardship clause remain in place and we review it in line with the 26-27 ABP.
And reviewed in line with the 26-27
Yeah.
ABP.
Yeah.
Before I take that motion though, I'm just going to ask, are there any further questions on the decision report itself? Councillor O'Hara?
Yeah, I'd just like to add, and I'm not against option one, but I would just like to add that I think that we mainly put in place for the farmers, mainly, I mean, and a few businesses, but the farmers are getting surprisingly good takes off their crops, evidently, and cattle and sheep prices are at an all-time high, extremely all-time high, and we're not making money here. So I think it's time we looked at it.
Councillor Coleman?
I wish to ask another question. That is, if we option one were to get up, isn't there some way further down the track, if things change of that, and we can withdraw it or move on or readjust it? You know what I mean?
Well, I believe the plan, if option one was to get up, it would be reviewed as part of the budget process in the next few months.
Yeah.
It would be my read on that.
Yeah.
Councillor Moment.
Yes, thank you, Acting Mayor. A question in relation to that is, if a drought resurfaces to a point where it's as bad as it was a year ago, and we go for option two, there's nothing saying we couldn't put it in again, is there? So if option two gets up, and we're a year down the track or 6 months in, and we're back into a terrible, worse drought effect than we are at the moment, we could put this back into place again, couldn't we?
And I just note that not,
Rates postponement, we could do that again.
and I just note that not the entire council area is experiencing bumper crops at the moment.
Yeah,
Had a
No, I
conversation about
understand
today.
that.
Up in the Mallee is maybe not the same.
100%. They've got nothing.
Are there any further questions around the decision report? Councillor Arthur?
Yes, I definitely go for option two. Firstly, we're the only council in South Australia giving the deferment of rates to anybody, to our rural landowners and the rural businesses. Something I don't think we as a council should be doing. It was probably brought in at the stage where we thought that the state government would come along, but unfortunately, as we know, state government don't really acknowledge rural situations. And the other question I've been asked by a lot of people, as this is ratepayers' money, these deferment of rates, should they not be able to find out the people who have had the rate rebates given it to them, seem they are being subsidised?
I'll say absolutely not. And I just note, I'm asking for questions on decision reports. We'll debate in debate. So if there's a question around the report before we get to debate, once we're in debate, we can debate. So Councillor Roundtree, you wish to move
I do.
the motion?
Yes.
Councillor Roundtree is moving option one.
Yes.
Is there a seconder for that motion? There being none? That
I'll
lapses.
move option two.
Councillor Arthur is moving option two. A seconder for the motion, Councillor Qualman.
Yep.
Councillor Arthur.
I think I've already mentioned that as I said, we're the only council in South Australia.
And Councillor Coleman, do you wish to speak to that?
Just briefly, Mr. Mayor, my concerns are the effect or financial implications on our possibly on our cash flow. That's why I still understand option one, but yeah, I have to go option two.
Councillor Coleman, any other speakers in debate? Councillor Roundtree?
So I'll speak against option two. Reading what was written in the report to us in our agenda, there's nothing in what was written that alarmed me that this would be a bad thing to do. I think the take up is only, what does it say here, is likely to reach 5 to 10% range of the council's rate revenue. It's if it trended upwards. As has been pointed out, there is a whole section of the Mallee area that are still struggling hugely with poor crops and a lot of expenses they weren't expecting. And yes, the ones doing the sheep and cattle were doing okay. They've got that back up, but the ones that aren't doing that are not having a great time. So I don't think, from my conversations with farmers, none of them want to defer or postpone their rates because they're just kicking the can down the road. So if they're in a financial position to pay now, they would be doing it. What this allowed them was a bit of breathing room to prioritise their money to stuff they needed today, and the council rates still have to be paid and they're just going to be paid later. So this wasn't giving anyone a get out of jail free card, wasn't giving anybody money for free. They don't need to be named and shamed. They're simply just, it is a resource, a bit like Afterpay. You still have to pay it, you're just paying it a bit later. But I can assure you that the humiliation some of these farmers are facing, they don't want to be in this position, they don't want to do it. They want the option there as a safety net should they need it. But if they can pay, they are proud men and women. They would much rather pay than not pay. And they certainly would not want to be named and shamed. But I just felt that it's a good look, and we might be the only council that is doing it. And 3 cheers to us for taking the approach to do it in the first place. We don't have to be like everybody else. We're a unique council with a unique situation, and I don't mind us being different to everybody else at any time on any matter. And I was actually really proud to see this one get up when it did. And I don't think we're over the hump yet. It's not going to break the council. It's not going to ruin us. We are going to get the money eventually. And it was a sensible thing to do. So I won't be supporting option 2.
Thank you, Councillor Roundtree. Any other speakers on the motion? Councillor Arthur, do you wish to exercise your right and reply?
Yes, close.
Closed. All those in favour? Voting for the motion is Councillor O'Hara, Maidment, Arthur and Coleman. Those against? Councillor Roundtree voting against. The motion is carried. Option number 2. Moving on to decision report number 4, 10.4, budget review 4. Before we deal with this agenda item, are there any questions of administration? Councillor Roundtree.
So on page 2, where it's got materials, contractors and other expenses, the Black Summer Bushfire Recovery Grant, did we have to pay that money back? Is that how it reads? No?
For you,
The CEO.
that is the money, the last monies from the Telstra towers. No, that was a grant, but it was a grant that came through the Commonwealth to council straight to the contractor and Telstra to build those towers.
This is the way I read it.
That was just the last amount. That was a bit of a lag between the beginning and the end, but no.
So my second question is the 157,000 in contractor expenditure, so which was overspend. How does that happen when they quote for a job? How do we get to a point where we spend so much over?
Councillor Roundtree, what page was that on, please?
Okay, now you're going to make me write my notes, but I don't do that.
Is it in the notes or is it in the body of, sorry?
It's on page 3 under materials, contractors and other expenses, 624 unfavourable. It's the third dot point. It says a 157K increase in contractor expenditure was recorded compared to the previous financial year, reflecting higher costs across both discretionary and non-discretionary. What is that? How come
Thank
it's
you.
so high?
I'll go to the CEO and then the director.
I will take it on notice, but I would say that 2 things. Probably it's a point in time in between one financial year and the next. And if Bill was here, he would, I think, confirm that. And the other is that sometimes there are variations to contracts over the course of the contract, and I would suspect that, and I'm looking at the director here, but that may relate to, okay,
That could include people that we engage for
yeah.
period of that, staff, et cetera.
Oh, you think it's, sorry, look,
I
so I
think it
can't
might.
see it on the page, that's all.
So it's on this page here.
Joel,
So Joel, yeah, I can talk to it a little bit. So through the chair, our overall budget is, so you've got two lines there that kind of offset each other. So you've got employee costs, where the actual.
Sorry.
And we've got materials and contracts, which is probably more contractors. So work that we outsource, if we have factions come in to do some road patching, things like that. So we're really go. So the net result is probably a balance of the both lines in that regard. So none of that is sort of fixed pricing work. It's just that number is an accumulation of what we spent on work done by external companies for this council. Thank you.
I guess
Councillor
through,
Roundtree.
through you, Mayor, I was more concerned that we had a quote to do a job and then that quote suddenly blew out, and why did that happen? So thank you for that explanation. My third question is, who is the council's third-party asset management provider, as in underneath that line, under it says 3, depreciation, amortization and impairment, in partnership with a third-party asset management provider. Are we allowed to know who the company is or who it is, or?
I'll go to the director.
What page? Sorry.
It's come off.
On page 3,
Page 3.
Page 3.
under point 3,
So
first
keep going.
dot point.
I can answer that while the
Thank you,
director's looking.
CEO.
So we remember the conversations we've had over the last couple of years that we had a asset management provider. We changed last year, and it's Tompkins, who are a South Australian based firm.
Yeah, all right, so I forgot about that.
Thank you. Any further questions?
Last one for me.
Thank you, councillor Roundtree.
Page 4, trade and other payables. So I just want some clarity. Can you confirm the increase in payables of 1.2 million is largely timing related and that accrued invoices have since been paid within the standard terms?
So
Thank you, the CEO.
they relate to a report that would have come to council, I think it was last meeting, and also to the Finance and Audit and Risk Committee.
Yep.
So that's really a point in time.
Thank you. Any other questions from councillors? On BR4? There being none, is councillor wish to take up the recommendation as a motion? Thank you, councillor Coleman. Seconded by councillor Roundtree. Councillor Coleman, do you wish to speak to the motion?
No, not really, Mr Mayor. I think councillor Roundtree answered some questions I was going to ask, so already done. Thank you.
Councillor Roundtree.
No, I'm good, thanks.
Any other members wish to speak in debate? Councillor Coleman, you're
I'll
close.
close. Thank you.
All those in favour? Motion is carried unanimously. Decision report 5. ABP for first quarter review. Are there any questions for administration on this decision report?
I said that was a good explanations provided, so I think it was all in there.
Councillor Roundtree.
Happy to move it.
Councillor Roundtree moving. Is there a seconder for the motion? Thank you, Councillor O'Hara. Councillor O'Hara seconded. Councillor Roundtree, do you wish to speak to the motion?
No, thanks.
Councillor O'Hara?
No.
You're close.
Closed.
All those in favour? Decision report 6, Dupang Festival in Kind request. Are there any questions regarding this decision report? Councillor Coleman.
Yes, I do have one question. I'm happy with it, and we've done this repeatedly over the years. I see a financial implication is in-kind works of 1,600, which I think refers only to the slashing. However, there's 20 bins that are going to be provided. How does that cost get absorbed, please?
I'll go to the CEO.
So we keep a record. We provide bins for many, many events across this district. We could easily attribute a cost to that if we needed to. We do keep a record of it, but I couldn't tell you off the top of my head what that would be from a,
Okay.
yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Is there a move for the recommendation? Councillor Roundtree. Second of the recommendation, Councillor Mayment. Councillor Roundtree, do you speak to the motion?
I need to say that we've done this in the past and it's a very good little festival and I'm glad we're supporting it.
Thank you. Councillor Mayment.
No, just to agree with councillor Roundtree. I know we've done it in the past and yep, good, happy to move on with it.
Thank you. Any councillors in debate? Councillor Roundtree, close.
Closed.
All those in favour? The motion is carried unanimously. Moving on to decision report 7, Wildmore House Precinct. Are there any questions of administration on the recommendation? There being none, it's the councillor wish to take the recommendation as a motion. Councillor Arthur, moving. Seconder, thank you, Councillor Mayment. Councillor Arthur.
I think it's taken us a long time to get to this position. See, it's the best position for council to go out to the communities and whoever to get a decision made on this, and so thank them for the staff for putting this together.
Thank you, Councillor Mayment.
Yes, thank you through the chair. Agree with councillor Arthur. I think it's an important step to get a decision potentially on this site. So happy to move it or second it.
Thank you, Councillor Mayment. Any other councillors wish to speak in debate? Councillor Qualman.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Just a comment, if I may, is that I totally concur with what everybody's saying. It's time to make some sort of steps and see which direction we're going to go with this Wildmore House Precinct, and I think this is a positive step forward. Thank you.
Being no further, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? The motion is carried unanimously. Moving on to decision report 8, the Tintinara Airfield residential land disposal. Are there any questions before we begin? Councillor Roundtree.
What safeguards will be put in place to ensure that the land is actually used for housing and not being, land banked by, say, one person? How do we ensure that it actually gets sold the way we want it? Because the idea of us owning that and selling it ourselves guarantees what we've been trying to achieve. If selling it, one person could buy it and then sit on it and not do anything, which defeats the purpose of what we've been trying to set up. So, yeah, I'm not comfortable with this one.
And Councillor Roundtree, to the Director of Community Corporate.
Effectively, you have the power to accept or reject an offer. So, expressions of interest go out. Within those expressions of interest, we can state that the offer needs to include intended development timeline, intended use of the land, and from that, based on the highest offer, you can ensure that you have other criteria. That's the only power you have, because yes, once it's sold, you don't have the power to require someone to do it for a period of time. And also, as far as the use of the land is concerned, well, that's dictated by the planning code, which states that it's housing and a hangar.
For each allotment or for the whole thing?
So someone could buy it and divide it. So you've got 12,000 square metres there. Minimum size allotment would be 2,000 square metres. So I think 2,000 is going to be too small. So I think you probably end up maybe with, my ideal would be 3,000 square metres allotments, because there's restrictions in terms of the percentage of the land that can occupy buildings. So again, it's an airfield and any built structures have to take into account safety issues. So yeah, my idea would be thinking, if someone buys it, they want to divide it, that they're probably looking at 4 blocks. And yes, the code is very deliberate in its instructions in terms of the house
So through email, would that then come back to the chamber, or does that go through to the planning or through to you? Like, do we ever get to see what that might look like?
Thank you, councillor Andrew Miles.
Through the chair, council do not have involvement in development approvals. However, again, you rely on the code. I mean, the code actually tells people very clearly, and that's where that the setbacks and the percentage of the land that can be built upon and the minimum size allotments really dictate that. And I'm very confident that will be assessed appropriately and dealt with appropriately. I think back to your first point about, someone land banking, the only power you have is prior to selling and to ensure then that in that contract for sale, and that selection of the buyer, that you cover that off.
Okay. My last question then on this issue would be, is there anything in the rules that stop, say we've got 4 homes or 5 homes there, suddenly deciding that the airfield is too noisy and therefore they don't want noise to be in their backyard anymore or something? Like, I've seen it happen around Murray Bridge with farmers. What stops people that buy or build homes there now having a noise complaint against the airfield? Is that written somewhere?
Bridget?
No, I think really when the state government allow for a rezoning, which that's what they did, and remember it was a ministerial rezoning, they do take into account buffers and noise issues. So I really don't see that being a problem.
Okay.
It can be dealt with adequately under the EPA noise policy should there be a complaint. I don't see it being that.
Thank you. Any further questions?
See, Mr. Mayor,
Councillor Arthur?
with what we're doing, this has taken a long time to get here, and thankfully he saved a lot of money in the end on having to do it again because the government missed it. But with the sale of this, wouldn't it be feasible to put the rest of the land we own there up for sale up for tender at the same time? This has got a subdivision clause on it, so that can be used, like as a subdivision. The other that we still own there has got the ability to be another subdivision on if someone wants to buy the whole lot, can do it themselves. So why would we not put them both up at the same time? It's only sitting there being, leased on a yearly basis.
Thank you, Director.
I mean, I'd rather deal with those matters separately because this particular lot, as you know very clearly, is subject to the rezoning, and it's specific in terms of its unique use. I think we can deal reasonably straightforward in next year with any other circumstance we have. Lands. Again, in the new year, our property officer could present all the parcels of land that we believe are suitable go to the market, and council maybe then can make a decision about which ones go first. But we have land here in Barwon Bend, we have land in Wellington East, we have land in TT. I think we can make a decision next year.
Thank you. Miles, Councillor Arthur, does that answer your question at this point?
I just think it makes it probably a little bit more attractive for somebody if they're going to do it as a, and what's going to be left is going to be another encumbrance on us to look after because it's not going to be enough for the leasee to keep cropping and paying an annual lease for it.
To the chair, I wouldn't be able to move as quickly as we can if we added another parcel to this process. I'd be just slow the process.
Any further questions? Councillor Maven?
Yes, thank you. Through you, Chair. Any costs involved in this?
Yes.
Okay. Do we have a rough estimate?
I'll have to turn towards our property officer who's an expert in this space just to tell us the likely cost of the agent.
Thank you. Justin, would you mind coming
To the mic.
to the microphone? Thank you.
Sorry, can also say I can't talk about likely values
No, I mean costs to get it on the market.
So the remaining costs we have, we've had some surveyors costs already.
Mhm.
Off the top of my head, I can't tell you that. But there's conveyancing fees to issue the titles, which is happening, the last step, which is happening now. That's 2,500 or thereabouts.
Okay,
And then we'll have the agents commission,
yep.
which I don't want to negotiate here.
Oh, no, no,
So we'll just try and get the best we can for council
yeah,
from
absolutely.
three agents.
So that's costs so far on this? Yes,
That should be all the costs.
Okay.
Yeah,
So 2.5, you're saying,
for the conveyancing to issue the title,
for the conveyance. What about
the surveyor.
surveyor?
I had,
Let's
not
take
off the
that on
top of my
notice.
head, we've paid that work's been done, we've paid for it.
That would be what,
We could
15 to 20?
Yeah, around that figure, if it's certainly no more than that.
We'll take that on notice and circulate that out of session.
thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions? Being none, does councillor wish to move the recommendation as a motion? Councillor Roundtree. Councillor Maidment seconding. Councillor Roundtree.
I have no further questions.
Thank you. Councillor Maidment.
No, I've had my question, thank you.
Any speakers in debate? Councillor Roundtree, you'll close.
Closed.
All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Moving on to decision report 9. Wellington East Wastewater Management. Joel, I might go to you first for a comment on this.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Through the chair, this report is just off the back of the Roads and Infrastructure Committee report. We spoke to this item in the capital program update. And in that report, it wasn't explicitly clear what the intention was with the wastewater lagoons. So what we're looking to do with this report is convey that the budget that we've got, or we had set through the annual business plan for the Wellington East Wastewater Lagoon remediation, through the investigations that Sam has done and the discussion that we've had, there's a bigger picture here that we need to achieve with this lagoon and its compliance for being able to deal with the wastewater generated by Wellington East. So this report is recommending that the budget that we had for this year is going to go towards a grant to do the design and conceptual work, and the feasibility around what the wastewater lagoon needs to suitably cater for Wellington East now and as it grows into the future. And then if we're successful with that grant and we get our detailed design done, there is a subsequent grant through the LGA Community Wastewater Innovation Fund. Sorry, that's the current grant. There's a LGA program that we can apply for funding for the actual on-ground works. So it's a bit of a two-stage process, very similar to RPPP. So yeah, that's it.
Thank you. Any councillors have a question? Any further questions around this? Thank you, Councillor Coleman.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through the chair to the Director of Roads and Infrastructure. If we can't get any grants, we would gather funding through the CWMS reserves. Is that how it works?
The Director.
Thanks, Councillor Coleman. Through the chair, yeah, we'll need to build the funding model.
Yes.
At the moment, I guess the speed at which this thing has grown from some very simple work to a very complex legislative consideration, we're just trying to get our head around what we actually need to do and what the potential cost of that is.
Right.
And then we can look to build towards the funding model. Grant funding is obviously always the desired outcome. Yeah. If not, we'll have to look at the long-term financial plan and CWMS reserve and formulate the required funding there.
to the Director of Community Corporate.
Through the chair, I mean, one of the beauties of a SWIMS capital project is that, a bit like the SA Water situation whereby it's a user pays and it's essentially funded through the separate SWIMS rate. So in fact, if you had to proceed with the project and you're required to proceed with the project because of SCOSA licensing and SA Health requirement, then you borrow the money and it can be paid back over a period of time through rates. As opposed to other capital projects that would need a single line.
Thank you.
Mr Mayor,
Back to you,
if I
Councillor
just
Qualman.
reply to that, thank you very much, because I'm just worried about any financial implication later on further down the track, and also thanks to who prepared the report as a comprehensive one from Point Boston wastewater attachment. Very good, thank you.
Yeah, through the chair, that was the acting manager of capital projects in the back of the room there that prepared the report.
Thank you, Tim. Well done.
Any further questions? Is a councillor wish to take up the recommendation as a motion? Councillor Arthur and Coleman. Councillor Arthur. Wish to speak to the motion?
No comment.
Coleman?
Already spoken enough, thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you. Any other councillors in debate? Councillor Arthur, you're close.
Close.
For the motion? All those in favour, carried unanimously. Moving on to decision report 10, street lighting Narang Road.
Through you, Mr Mayor, I probably should have declared an interest in this. So I'll leave if you like.
Thank you. Recording Councillor O'Hara's interest in decision report 10, being that he has an adjacent property. Could somebody please close the door? And we still have a quorum at this point. Are there any questions on this decision report? Move for the decision report, Councillor Qualman.
Thank you.
Seconded by Councillor Roundtree. Councillor Qualman.
Thank you, Mr Mayor and members. We're at our last Erosion and Infrastructure Committee meeting. We had discussion on this, so everybody seemed to hash it out. We wanted to say, and all quite happy about it. So yeah, prepared to move the recommendation. Thank you.
Councillor Roundtree.
Similarly, we've already had quite a long discussion around this, and I felt we've arrived at a space to move forward, so I'm happy to second it.
Any other councillor in debate? Councillor Coleman, you're close.
I'll close. Thank you.
Put the motion. All those in favour? The motion is carried unanimously. Somebody invite Councillor O'Hara back into the room, please.
Can I ask, Mr Mayor, why you would have a conflict of interest because they're putting a street light up in your street?
But it's his street.
You benefit from it.
Because the amenity, sorry,
You benefit from it.
you potentially benefit from the amenity of the street light.
And yet you can vote on something that, an interest-free loan that'll affect it.
It's whether it affects you individually or as a ratepayer in general, and I think this one potentially affects Councillor O'Hara individually. We'll move on to decision report 11. Safe Environment, Children and Other Vulnerable People Policy Review. These policies have been through the Governance Committee at some length. Is there any questions around this policy? Councillor Roundtree.
Yeah, just a follow-up from one of the questions I'd raised about whether working with children at a state or federal level was better or not. The reason I ask is that if you're coming from another state and you've moved here and you're only doing a state-based check, you're missing out on information that might be relevant from another state. So I've had to be on the hack, do a national crime check, which is national, obviously, which I actually have, I mean, it was more rigmarole to go through, most definitely, but it's a broader and better check. And I'm wondering whether we're doing enough with just asking for working with children, just throwing it out there, or whether we could have both and decide which one's more appropriate for which situation.
Thank you. I'll put the CEO first on this one.
Thank you. Councillor Roundtree has pointed out that there are gaps in national registers. This is one of them. Depending on the job, we could do that. Whether the national crime check also picks up something in terms of dealing with children is debatable as well, because I understand from other work that I do that they're not linked in any way sometimes. And so there are different registers for different things. And so if the job demanded that level of scrutiny, we would do whatever we needed to do to make sure that from a national perspective, we understood the situation, but I'm not saying it's foolproof.
Thank
So is
you.
that covered in our policy then the option exists?
I'll go to the Director of Community and Corporate.
Through the chair, I was going to say that the state and the Commonwealth governments came together in the recent months because of the terrible crimes that were exposed to people working in childcare and moving interstate. And they straight away focused on state to state communication, make sure they close that gap.
Right, okay.
I think you're right, there still are gaps, there's still not system. There is another matter, I believe, that relates to council run events that was discussed at the policy working group. Can we take that on notice, and then we'll do some more work in that space and to ensure if there's any further improvements we can do in terms of policy and our practice.
Yeah.
Councillor Roundtree.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I think as long as we have the option in the policy to apply whatever is the strongest for whatever event we're doing, that was all I think. We just needed that flexibility, but I am encouraged to hear that the states are working with each other with this working with children, because that is certainly a big gap that's showing its ugly head.
Any further questions on this policy?
Just,
Councillor Arthur.
I notice it's staff and volunteers. Which volunteers are we looking at in what position? You know, we have a volunteers day with 200 people there. None of them really work directly with the council. Every other, you know, like association, your sporting bodies and all those sort of things have that child safe thing who work in the child's, you know, area. What volunteers are we actually looking at here?
I've got to
Work
see,
directly for council.
So we would, again, it would be each case depending, and you're right, most of our volunteers work out in the public arena on parks and gardens and things like that. The volunteers who work directly with children are not under council's direct control. Remember, there's two groups of volunteers in the community, those that belong and are associated with sports clubs and not-for-profit organisations, and those that work within council, Pangarinda. Some of the cemeteries have, and so most of those volunteers don't have direct responsibilities or involvement with children in terms of their day-to-day. But if there was to be some sort of activity that was with children, we would look, did they have the appropriate accreditation and was it needed? Because it's not always needed. So we do that as a matter of course. So, but as a general rule, most of the council volunteers wouldn't require that.
I realise that, yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Arthur. Does that answer your question?
Sorry?
Does that answer your question, Councillor?
Yes.
Thank you. Any further questions? Does Councillor wish to take up the motion, recommendation as a motion? Thank you, Councillor Roundtree, and second to Councillor Maidment. Councillor Roundtree.
No, I'm happy with the answers provided and the work we've already done through the Governance and Policy Review Committee on this one.
Thank you, Councillor Maidment.
No, I'm happy with our work we did at the working group, so happy to second it.
Does any other councillor wish to enter debate? Councillor Roundtree.
Closed.
All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Agenda item, decision report, sorry, number 12, request for service policy review. Any questions? Councillor wishes to move the motion, recommendation as a motion. Councillor Roundtree, seconder. Thank you, Councillor O'Hara. Councillor Roundtree.
No, I'm happy with this one. I think we've covered off a lot already and I'm happy to recommend it.
Thank you, Councillor O'Hara.
No, I'm pretty happy it works, seems to work okay.
Thank you. Any other councillors wish to enter the debate? Thank you, councillor
Yeah,
Arthur.
just within this system, we have a after hours number, which you ring when there's something happening after hours. How does this actually get into our system? Because we had, as you know, we had a huge gum tree come down at the school on the weekend. Someone spent 23 minutes on the phone till I got an answer and they couldn't understand them. Obviously a different nationality. And I don't know if they finally got through to our after hours number. There has been a problem for many, many years, the after hours number. How does it come into here? Because I don't see it. It is a request for service.
Thank you to the CEO.
And you're right, we do have an after hours number, and Joel and his team in R&I also have an after hours roster. So they would connect, sometimes the after hours service, 23 minutes is probably what would be standard. And they contact Joel, whoever's on after hours service, and then it flows through there. And my understanding is that was acted on fairly promptly, that tree.
You know, I reckon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you may, it doesn't really matter who actually rings the after hours service. It could have been you, councillor Arthur, or it could have
No,
been a
it's been
resident.
the after hours services.
You rang somebody else.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was just wondering how it gets into this system though.
The CEO.
Into the after hours service, is that the question?
Request for service
Yes.
in the policy.
Exactly as I just described, that if you're a resident, say you're not councillor Arthur, you're just the resident up the road from and you ring and say the tree is down and you do it to the after hours service, they will then contact Joel or a member of his team, and we on a regular basis update them on who the roster is. I think the roster at the moment is a weekly one.
That's Joel.
Yeah, thanks. Through the chair, I'll check with customer service, but I think an overnight report is provided to them of incidents that have occurred, and they'll generate a CRM based on what they've been provided for formality around capturing the service request. It may have already been dealt with overnight or over the weekend, for example, but it's still, you know, if it hasn't been responded to, it'll get captured as a CRM, and then we action it as part of business as usual. If it's already been done, we still get the CRM and we can close it out to say that request for service has been completed.
Thank you. Does that answer your question, councillor Arthur?
I just have a council question.
To the CEO.
So you've met Councillor Arthur. Are you suggesting that there have been times when the resident hasn't rung, or the resident's rung and has not got a response?
Well, it was brought up 18 months ago. We had one that was rang through that never got through to the council. We checked on it and they've been waiting, 28 minutes or something on the phone some time ago, and the request was never put through to council. It's just that I just probably might have been, I reckon about 18 months ago. You actually have to have a look into it. And it was the fact that it never got carried on to our fellas.
Sorry.
This is not the first time
Yeah.
I've had trouble with this service.
To the director.
Through the chair, there's always going to be an outlier where something hasn't got through, and we'll try and minimise that as much as possible. There are a lot of requests that we get and get action to. So I think, the balance is that we generally, a high percentage of after hours requests come through, go to the staff go out and act upon it, and they get completed. So if there's examples where it hasn't happened, we need to continue to know about that and problem solve as to why it happened.
Any further questions on this policy? Councillor Kwong.
May I have a permission, Mr. Mayor, to tell a minute story regarding an incident I had with this number.
Relevant to the policy.
I received a call from a local resident, and she said an elderly lady had been to our toilets here near the station, and the water wouldn't turn off in one of the hand basins. So I said, leave it to me, I'll ring the number. So I rang the number, and while I was ringing the number, I thought maybe I should go have a look. Anyway, I was speaking to the lady. I could quite easily understand her. I got in the car, opened the gates, drove all the way down. This took 5 minutes, and she hung on all the time. And I checked all the taps, they were fine. And she, thanks, no worries. I'll let the relevant parts of the council know that it's all done. And I thought that was good for a change, because I have, like Councillor Harper, at times heard sometimes the system has failed, but this case they excelled themselves.
Thank you. Does the councillor wish to take the recommendation as a motion? Thank you, councillor Roundtree. Is there a seconder?
Read them now.
Yeah,
It's already-
it's already,
Lovely. Not on request for service policy. My mistake. There being nothing further, I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Moving on to decision report 13. Any questions?
Yes,
Councillor Arthur?
I'll start off with just one simple one. 5.1 policy principles. There's no obligation on the council to undertake capital improvement or performance maintenance on unmade roads within a road reserve for the purpose of access to a private property. It is our council road.
So-
We're not responsible for what will be after.
Before I go to the,
Several instances where there are roads that is the only access to a property. And yet we're saying here, under that we're not responsible for maintaining our own roads.
I might take this before I go to the director. This is referring, as I understand it, to unmade roads, so not to actually two roads. And this would take into account road reserves that go across paddocks that don't have any infrastructure on them. I'll just go to the director.
Yeah, so through the chair, this policy talks to sections of unmade road where there's nothing formed. And a property owner might have a piece of their property that they need to access, and the access might be through that unmade road reserve. What this policy recognises that in those examples where you've literally got one property owner that is going to be the sole user of what we're talking about here, the construction of that piece of road, it's actually better defined as their own private access in council road reserve. So a similar theory applies to our crossover policy in the township, where the bit from the curb to your property line is for the property owner to maintain as their crossing place from the road to their private property. It's their responsibility to maintain it, to repair it, to upgrade it, etc. Very similar theory here, where if there's nothing in place and a private property owner needs to get access through their track, this policy provides us a mechanism where we can work with them, we can permit them the ability to go and construct their own access to their property, but it recognises that what they're constructing is not a piece of public infrastructure, it's their own private access. No other real property owner benefits from it. So yeah, that's the better understanding of it.
It's just a couple of questions there.
Councillor Arthur?
So we're saying that a local property owner will be able to make his own road within a road reserve. The road reserve is owned.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're under what you're saying is they can do what they want to with the road reserve. Put a road in. We had this situation probably if Pretty Councillor Bland wasn't here, where we were looking to get rid of a lot of these roads, particularly out towards Peak and that go in. It's a council road that goes in to serve one property. There's no fences left and they want to take it out. But we procrastinated and done nothing about it.
Yeah.
So, you know, like I know one fella that we do his road and we've got to do his road because that's his only access. So how can you say we will not look after a road within a road reserve, whether it's unmade or not?
To the director?
Through the
Conditions
chair,
change, don't
council never not maintain a road that has been constructed by council. If it is historically been constructed and maintained by council, we will continue to maintain it. What this policy recognises is that if there's a section of unmade road where there is no road constructed, nothing ever been formalised by council, nothing intended to be formalised by council because there is not a community need to, this says in that circumstance, if there's one property owner that wants access down that unmade road reserve, it becomes their responsibility. And this policy puts the tram lines around that, and it allows us to work through a Section 221 process where they submit what they want to do. We work with them to make sure that, you know, it's constructed in a way that's not going to compromise anything, not that there would be, and allows them to get access. And it doesn't cost the rest of the community for one person's access.
I'll go to the CEO.
So just to, I suppose, elaborate, if council wanted to have a policy that said we maintained and looked after unmade road reserves, we would need to have quite a significant budget discussion with you. Because there are many, many, many unmade road reserves around the district, as Councillor Arthur alluded to. So as the director has said, this is to put some framework around it. If a landowner has an unmade road reserve on their property and wants to use it, then there is a process in place to support them through that, see what they want to do. And as a council, if you wish that the administration look after the unmade road reserves to the degree that Councillor Arthur is suggesting, then it would need to be a piece of work that we do to identify all of those unmade road reserves, which is quite a significant piece of work, and then a budget discussion with you about how that would impact on the budget going forward. That would not come without a cost. I know that there are some councils that have actually looked at their unmade road reserves, had a list of them, and then had a position where they would sell them to the landowner because there would be no community need for those roads into the foreseeable future. We haven't gone down that track yet because it is a piece of work that requires quite a level of resources to even identify where they all are.
And that's exactly what should happen from this situation, because it's something we have, well, Councillor Quallen, remember, we've looked at it 2 or 3 times, but that's as far as it's got. We've never got around to it. And we have had requests for people to take the roads over, but unfortunately, it got to the stage you've got to have a dollar figure on it. And I think one quote was just ridiculous. You know, like it's a road, and there was, I don't know who did the independent valuation, but it was quite ridiculous what they were proposing.
Councillor O'Hara.
Yeah, I've had a bit of experience with this because on my farm, the road reserve each end of my farm. And a person who bought the block behind mine wanted to, and I paid rent to this council for that land, right? Not huge rent, but I paid rent to the council to use that land. And this person that bought the block behind me, he had access off of Yamali Road, but he wanted to use this road to put a pipeline in. And I jacked up and said, no, I've got, you know, I've just sown new loose in there. It's cost me a lot of money. Anyway, I lost. He went through with a bulldozer and ripped up these bloody big rocks everywhere and just left them and put his pipeline in. And I had no leg to stand on. And I was paying rent on it. So I refused to pay my rent after that. Never ever got another bill. So I don't know why I was paying it in the first place, but yeah.
I think there's a comment. Is there any other questions around the policy? We'll deal with it. Sounds like we need to put road disposal in the new year.
Yeah.
Is there a mover for this recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Roundtree and Qualman. Councillor Roundtree.
No, I think we've had a good discussion around this one.
Councillor Qualman.
No, just concur with what Councillor Arthur said. Thank you.
Any other speakers in debate? Put the motion, all those in favour? Councillor Arthur. All those against? Councillor Arthur. Voting for the motion is Councillors O'Hara, Maidment, Roundtree and Qualman. Voting against the motion is councillor. Motion is carried. Moving on to decision report 14. Watermaking policy review. Are there any questions regarding this policy? Councillor wish to take this motion, recommendation as a motion? Councillor Roundtree. Councillor Moment, seconding. Councillor Roundtree.
Thank you, Mayor. And I think we've had a good look over this one as well in the governance committee, so I'm happy with it.
Councillor Moment.
Yeah, I agree with Councillor Roundtree. I don't have anything to say. Thank you.
Any other councillors wish to enter debate? Councillor Roundtree.
Closed.
Put the motion. All those in favour? Motion is carried unanimously. Decision report 15, minutes of the Roads and Infrastructure Committee held on the 2nd of December 2025. Moved Councillor Coleman. Seconder for the, thank you, Councillor Moment. Councillor Coleman.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Pretty self-explanatory, I find, and it was Day down Meningie and good community engagement as well on site too. Thank you.
Councillor Moment.
Yeah, thank you. No, I agree with Councillor Coleman, and we did have a good discussion about this at the Roads and Infrastructure meeting. So I'm happy to second this.
Thank you. Is there any other councillor wishing to enter debate?
There's just one question regarding my question in here regarding the Salt Creek toilet facilities. When will we be able to get some concrete costings as per required now?
Through the chair.
Director will take on notice and on notice the question in relation to asset value and costs.
Yeah. So we will only know that once it's handed over to us and we do our own assessment through our asset management practices, assign a value, assign a useful life, which will be in February.
Councillor O'Hara.
Yeah, can we split these recommendations? Because I'll vote for number 1, but I won't vote for number 2.
I'll ask the mover and seconder if they're happy to vary it to move them in seriatim.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah, I'm happy.
I'd like to leave it as it is.
Well, that being the case, Councillor Coleman and Maidment being the mover and seconder, there is an agreement to vary. The motion will stay as it is.
Okay.
I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Voting for the motion was Councillor Maidment, Arthur, Roundtree and Coleman. Voting against the motion was Councillor O'Hara. Motion is carried. Moving on to decision report 16. Governance and Policy Review Working Group. Is there a move for the recommendation? Thank you, Councillor Maidment. Is there a seconder?
Can I just have a question, sir? I'll show you answer that.
I'll second.
Thank you, Councillor Coleman, seconding. I'll go to the mover to speak to the motion.
I don't have any questions on this one. Thank you.
Councillor Coleman.
No, I'm all good, thank you.
Does Councillor wish to speak?
Just a
Thank you,
question.
Councillor Roundtree.
Sorry, yeah. With the, just wanted to some clarification on the cemeteries and burial policy. Are we going to bring that back to the committee with options for burial on private land? Was that going to be looked into before we go further?
Through the chair, the thought was to pass the policy as it stands in the report, to do further research we can bring a policy back at any time.
Okay.
So I think in this case, we'd also probably need another workshop with the entire council to work through and explain the risks, potential risks associated with being involved in feral. I don't need a fair bit of research.
Okay, so we'll put that through your mayor to a workshop at some point next year. Okay.
Thank you. The other member wish to speak in debate? Being none, councillor Mayman, you're close.
I'll close.
Put the motion. All those in favour? The motion is carried unanimously. Moving on to the information reports, Office of the Chief Executive Officer. Are there any questions? Thank you, councillor O'Hara.
I got one to do with the community vision plan. The two girls we had doing that, do we really need to have consultants to do it? Can't our staff do that? I mean, one of Meningie there was those two girls and there was 5 staff as well. I mean, it's costing us a lot of money. Why can't our people do that? Is it that hard?
I'll go to the CEO.
So through you, Mayor, remember councillor Hara, we had quite a long conversation in the chamber about, first of all, it was going to be the whole, the consultants were going to do the whole lot of the work. And then it moved to the chamber's desire to have some staff involvement as well to a greater degree than normal. So it was a combination of the consultant. And you're right, staff can do that. Sometimes it's just a resource issue more than anything else, but we have staff who are very skilled in that area. But there was also several other things happening at the same time, which meant the resources were pretty well exhausted.
Any further questions? And just note, left the chamber at 11:17.
I do. Just let me get my.
I'll go to councillor Coleman.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Meetings attended by the CEO on November the 10th, meeting with Councillor Bland and Senator Ross Cadell, re the algae bloom and sustainability of the Lower Lakes and Coorong beer teams.
Thank you to the CEO.
So when Councillor Bland and I went to the Senate Estimates Committee, so Senate hearing in Victor Harbor, as part of that suite of meetings, Senator Ross Cadell was on that committee, and he was very interested in the remarks that Councillor Bland made about the carp in particular in the Lower Lakes. And so he undertook to contact us and come back. So we had another meeting with him just to talk through the issues of what the carp his situation was. And he undertook to come down and meet with the fishers who are involved down that part of the district, and then to come back to council with any suggestions that from a Commonwealth point of view that might be available. But he was just interested and wanted to talk about what may be an option from the Commonwealth point of view.
Sounds good, thank you.
Any other?
No,
business,
I've
councillor?
had it in the wrong spot, so I'll wait for later.
Councillor Mayman returned at 11:19.
Thank you.
Councillor Mayman, do you have any questions on this decision? report?
No.
Do I have a mover for this information report? Recommendation? Councillor Coleman, that we receive and note the report, seconded by Councillor O'Hara. Councillor Coleman,
No, thank you.
Councillor O'Hara,
No.
Councillor Coleman, you close?
I'll close.
All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Moving on to information report 11.2, community and corporate. Councillor Coleman.
I have a question through the chair, Mr Mayor, to our Director Community and Corporate. I see on the next page of the report, public access defibrillation or AEDs have been around the place. With council, its structures and various buildings, have we got them all in, or we still got to put a few more in? How are we progressing with all our facilities? Thank you.
The Director of Community and Corporate.
Through the chair, all of the ones required buildings have been installed and commissioned. I will say we ordered one for the Canalpan Changing Places toilet, so that I thought it was appropriate that that has one. I think the nearest one to that facility would have been the caravan park, and to me that's. But in addition, a risk officer attended a local government risk services seminar in the last fortnight, and it was advised that where you have places where people exercise and there isn't a AED within the mandatory required distance, that one is all. So put in two more. Once you go into the foreshore area at Meningie where the outdoor gym is, and another to go into Meningie Skate Park. So they originally, it wasn't intended to have them outdoors, but the interpretation of the legislation and the advice of our LTRS has said that, so we're following their advice, which is very the right thing to do, because if something goes wrong, you need to follow advice. But that should be finished, and everything has been achieved in budget. And the compliance was required for January 2026, so.
Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any further questions on this decision report? There being none, there move it to for the recommendation that the council receives and notes the report. Councillors Roundtree and Maidment. Councillor Roundtree.
Nothing more to add.
Thank you, Councillor Maidment.
No, nothing, thank you.
Thank you. Any other councillors in debate? Councillor Roundtree, you'll close.
Closed.
I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Thank you. Moving on to decision report 11.3, roads and infrastructure information report. Any questions, councillors? Thank you, Councillor Coleman.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, through the chair to Director of Roads and Infrastructure. Page 118, Narung Road shoulder widening. We just have a report how much we're doing and how much will be left to complete that in its entirety, please.
Thank you, Councillor Coleman. To the Director.
Thank you. Through the chair. So the scope of works for this financial year through our SLRP funded project is to carry on from where the shoulder widening has finished near Fisher's Farm all the way through to Loveday Bay Road. So the shoulder widening and a reseal of the actual road lanes as well. So all encompassing. As an update to the project particular, we've got a preferred candidate there to do the work. We'll begin programming that, but just will be something that will kick off in around February.
All right. And I think, Mr Mayor, that leaves, I might be wrong here, possibly 10 Ks, 12 Ks. Councillor Hara probably know better to finish it in a run. So hopefully we'll get it all done.
Yeah, before that.
Through the
15,
chair, I think it's about 14 or 15 from
yeah.
Loveday Bay Road through to Narung.
Thank you, Councillor Coleman again.
And this is more of a comment of some bouquets received. Good news. Council recently did some work cleaning down some massive trees at our stormwater retention pond, where you want to call it, on Caldy Road and Queen Street in Tarlem Bend. These trees were huge gum trees, and some are very close to a resident's house, and they were fearing for their safety sometimes, and council did its best to trim them at times and that, but I see it in report and I've seen physically that they've been totally removed, and everybody's happy, and I've heard a good report. Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Thank you, Councillor Roundtree.
And seeing we're giving up bouquets, just wanted to say that the banner poles in Tinty look quite good. So after a long process, they're actually quite sturdy, look impressive structures. Well done.
Yeah, no
Anything further? Councillor Arthur.
Yeah. It's not in this report, but I sent a report in last week regarding the toilets at the council's toilets at the Tintinara Oval. There's a loose brick on the top, the door wouldn't shut. It was quite embarrassing for a couple of people on the weekend. Were sitting down doing what they should be doing, and the door floats open. I think it is a priority to get it fixed because it's a men's stall and there's the only one in there. But it's a matter of fixing up. Ashler, the door is there and the lock is now broken.
Thank you. Do you have any knowledge on that?
Through the chair, I'll take that on notice. I've noted it down. So that's the toilet block at the Oval.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. I'll follow that with top staff.
That's all.
Councillor Moment?
Yes, thank you. And through the chair, just good to see, just general comment, good to see the installation of the new water main happening, Wellington East. That's progressing quite well by the looks of things, so very good.
Any further questions? Comments? Councillor move the recommendation that we receive and note the report. Thank you, Councillor Qualment. Councillor Roundtree, Councillor Coleman.
No, thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Roundtree.
Nothing further?
Any councillors in debate? Councillor Coleman, you'll close. All those in favour? Carried unanimously. Moving on to questions with notice. There is one question received from Councillor Bland regarding the potting tables from the Wadmore House site. Any conversation around that question? Councillor O'Hara?
Yeah, I spoke with Councillor Bland last night and she sent me an email this morning and asked if I would read it out, and she's obviously not happy with the response she got from her question. If I can just read this out, it's with great regret that I
Take
feel.
that as a statement from you, Councillor O'Hara.
Sorry?
I'll take it as a statement from you, Councillor O'Hara.
Yep, thank you. It is with regret that I feel I must respond to the CEO's answer to my question on notice in regard to the council assets at Wadmore site, Meningie. I've spoken to the CEO on a number of occasions during her 6-year tenure and was never advised she had given the council assets away, the tables, or that they were not our assets. I was advised they were on loan and would be returned. To be clear, I was present on at least 2 occasions when discussion took place with Orana on relation to what was being left behind with Coorong Council for future use of the community on the site. This included, but not limited to, potting tables, carts, plant furniture, stands, tools, to name a few. Council staff were also aware that they would need to do an asset register, which still has not been done. How does council administration know what they should have been looking after over the past 6 years? I find the answer lacking. Councillor Bland.
Thank you, Councillor O'Hara. Before going further, just ask, is there an asset register around the premises at Wadmore House, or is that work underway?
So the asset registry records, not specific to Wadmore House, I wouldn't imagine. It would be just a list of assets by type rather than anything.
The Director?
Yeah, through the chair, the asset register captures the buildings per se and captures I guess the land parcel as an asset, but we wouldn't be drilling down into detail of tables and things like that. It can be done. We can componentize down to that level, but that has not previously been done for that site.
So that would be a low value asset that would not, it would be more like a replaceable item rather than an asset on a register.
Councillor Roundtree?
So 2 things. I've got a motion that I'd like to put up, I think. But just secondly, on that, we don't keep records of the mine things. I noticed at the Canalpin Hall, each one of the trestle tables is numbered, and it is an asset that is kept, like, I think, very strict control of, because they're all numbered and they've got to be put back in their number. So that's just I guess a small low value item that is being tracked through the asset register on. Sorry, you want to respond to that?
I'll go to the Director on that.
Thank you. Through the chair, there are various buildings throughout our district that we do componentize down. This one, for example, we place an asset, a value on the internal assets, like the fixtures and fittings in here. They're sort of listed as fixtures and fittings. You don't sort of necessarily go down to table, chairs. You put a value on your fixtures and fittings, carpets, anything else you might want to hold as value, so that if the building blew down, you had to replace it, you've got an understanding of what you got. That's selective, so we don't do that for every single site. And I guess, you know, I can only perhaps speak from a historical assumption, given that site has not been occupied, we wouldn't componentise down to that level. You just hold the building values, and then, you know, if a building needed replacing, we understand what our asset accounting looks like from that perspective.
Councillor Roundtree.
So could I move a motion then, and I'll go slow so that it can be typed up, that the administration provide a report on how the items at Wobble House can be formally disposed of or returned to council. That's part A. And then part B would be to provide councillors with an asset register for the premises, so we could see what was there and, you know, what can be used.
Ash, have you got?
So move that the administration provide a report on how the items at Wobble House can be formally disposed of or returned to council. And B, provide councillors with an asset register for the premises.
I'll just note the CEO has just mentioned that part of the expression of interest process, having an asset register would be necessary or beneficial.
So it would help with the, sorry, so.
That as part of going out to the expressions of interest of another entity going into the premises, we would need to know what was there anyway. So,
yeah.
So is that up? Sorry.
Yep, so move that the administration provide a report on how the items at Wadmore House can be formally disposed of or returned to council. And part B was provide councillors with an asset register for the premises. Provide an asset register for the premises.
Through the chair, do you want what's currently on our asset register, or you want a better, more detailed assessment of
Well, I
it?
guess if the concern was around the nursery tables, which
Yep.
would have a value, and to replace them
Yep.
for somebody coming in would have to go buy them or have them made.
Yep.
It would be handy to know where they are, how they got there. Is it likely we could ever ask for them back, or is it their expectation that they're going to stay where they are?
Yeah.
And if it's never going to come back, then it probably doesn't need to be on the
Yeah.
register, because we're never going to be able to give it to anybody else. But to have an idea of what was there, I think for people that are invested in that building and the whole structure, to see things just disappear without any explanation is concerning them. So we just want some information. If
Yeah.
it's gone to a place and they're thoroughly enjoying it and it's all tickety-boo, then okay, at least we know, but we just don't know.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, I think the main problem here with Councillor Bland is upset about is the fact that she was told they did not belong to the council, but in fact she was there when they were actually given to the council, and that they were leased out to the other company. Instead of that, they were given to them. So I think that's the main.
I think potentially the report could outline those things. Are councillors able to see that up there?
You know, just can
Councillor.
I ask the CEO how it's going to be possible to provide a report on what was owned by council in Wadmore House?
So very difficult. We know that there are, well, I'll say heaps, which is a very technical term, of stuff across that site, particularly in that shed with all of the old garden and implements and things. So the shed is a particular treasure trove of stuff. The third party who left the building also there's a whole lot of paperwork there that we need to dispose of. The tables, there was a whole lot of potting mixture, pots and things like that. And at one point there was some volunteers who were doing some gardening at the back there. The conversations with Councillor Bland were, yes, I didn't know we didn't own them until I went looking to say that no, Arana owned them, and they just walked out basically and left everything as was. Under our policy for disposal, if it's not on the council register, and we wouldn't be able to put this on the register, Councillor Bland may remember them being given to us, but there's no record, and we can go searching back to see if there is any record of that being the case. But my understanding is Arana just left the building. So we can have a look.
The majority of the stuff in there would actually be Arana's.
So if I may,
And the previous tenants who, you know, all the potting mix, all those things weren't councils.
if I may, the conversation I had with Councillor Bland on this is that the CEO at the time, met with Arana around the disposal and transition of these items. So I think this is probably getting outside of the scope of what can be dealt with here. However, the motion as it stands brings a report back, or we could take it on notice to be dealt with more fully. Councillor Roundtree, I've got a mover at the moment. I do need to ask for a seconder.
Yeah, also.
As Councillor O'Hara, sorry, is seconding. So moved Councillor Roundtree, second Councillor O'Hara. Councillor Roundtree.
Could we even add to that? I don't know if this is relevant, but perhaps work with Councillor Bland if it's possible. So there'll be digging that you need to do here through your files, but I would imagine that she has a wealth of information on this subject, and perhaps just work with her to nut out, and she may have all the records you need. She might be able to find them more easily. So perhaps work with her to sort this out.
Would you be comfortable having that as variation to Councillor O'Hara? So if we could add another point. Point 2.
Can I get some clarification, please?
Okay, to the CEO.
So, yeah, thank you. Just with the first motion then, the items at Wadmore House, we would have to divide into, and this is probably the work you're suggesting with Councillor Bland, to those that are owned by council as part of the house, and that's probably the fixture and fittings more than anything else.
Yep.
And the items that the third party left when they left the building are many and sundry. So we would divide it into those two groups because they're treated differently under our disposal policy as well.
So is it possible with the stuff, I noticed when we were there the other day, the amount of files that were sitting and just paperwork, and who knows what sort of information is being kept in those. Is it possible to package that up and deliver it back to Arana and let them deal with what's inside of it? Because it may be relevant, it might not be, but should it not be their issue?
If I may, I had a conversation with the CEO and staff this week, last week around this. It was determined that it would be more appropriate that they are disposed of securely at a secure shredding location, because there is personal information in those files, and they shouldn't be left on the premises.
Yep, no worries.
That was the action that was decided during the week. Councillor
Yeah, through you, Mr Mayor, and with the permission of Councillor Roundtree, I just think item 1, we should change that instead of saying items at Wadmore House can be formally disposed of or returned to council. They don't need to be returned to council. They just need to be remain the property of council. Because according to what Councillor Bland has told me, they were given to council by Arana. So they are already property of the council.
Would that not, the way I've written it, would that not then relate to maybe the nursery tables coming back?
It could relate to them, yeah, that's right.
So that's sort of where my brain was going, that if there's stuff that has been given away that shouldn't have been given away, that we either A, they pay for it, B, or it comes back. You know, that's, I guess, but I can see your point, both are relevant. Yeah.
So Councillor O'Hara, what words are you seeking to change there?
Or property that has been loaned returned to council. Something like that.
So after the word property that has been loaned. Is that?
Or formally disposed of, or property that has been loaned returned to council. That's it.
Is the mover happy with that variation?
Yeah, I'm happy with that.
So I'll go to the mover to speak to the motion as it currently reads. Councillor Roundtree.
I can understand the frustration of where councillor Bland is coming from, and I think Wadmore House has been a bit of an area that not a lot of, especially us new councillors, have had a big understanding around over the years. I mean, it certainly was going on long before my time on council, understanding what happened. So I'm happy to see that councillor Bland will be involved in this. I think that's going to be very useful. She has a long history. We're almost I feel like we're 90% done with Wadmore House in coming to some sort of solution. And these last little bits, if we can tidy them up and have this information locked away somewhere so that in 10 years' time, if somebody asks the question, we've got some records, I think it will be a good result for all of us. So that's my point of view.
Give us a second to wish to speak.
Nick? You want to say?
Yeah, fine with that.
Any other councillors wish to enter debate? Councillor Arthur?
Yeah, I just wonder how, as I said, that we're actually going to do this report. What's left there? What is Aranas? What was done, given to Arana? What was the councils in the first place? There wasn't much there before Arana got in. For example, all those garden beds there, they were Aranas because that's who paid for them. Even though they're sitting in the back there now, they're probably, I suppose if it was a Crown ground lease, would become councils or the responsibility of the leasee to take them away. I just find it strange we're going to do this. If we do this and pass this, I believe then we've got to go and do a on-site audit of all our halls,
No, we don't.
all our assets, every knife and fork and saucepan and whatever, and it's going to be a huge job. I just cannot comprehend the motion. I think conversation should take place about how it was loaned, who's it loaned to, where did it come from. A lot of these things are deemed to have happened, but actually haven't happened.
I think Councillor Arthur, the report will hopefully draw that out as to what the situation as it actually is stands. Councillor Bowman?
Thank you. And through the chair, just a question. With this motion, it would all have to be done before the expression of interest goes out, wouldn't it? So that
So if I may, the CEO
this
just,
motion gets up, the register would be provided in the expression of interest anyway. Is that what we're thinking?
the CEO just mentioned to me before that it might be more appropriate that the asset register be provided for the Wadmore House premises as part of the expressions of interest
Expression of
process.
interest. So it'll have to be done before that goes out, is my question. Is that right or not?
In conjunction with, I would have thought I'll go to the Director of Community and Corporate.
If I was putting in expression of interest, the purchase or to lease, Wadmore House or the adjoining title, I would like to know what's included in my lease and what's excluded. So that's why a list of fixtures, fittings, use items, and included, excluded. I don't think it needs to be any more complicated than that. And and in terms of ownership, there may be some things that are fairly clear that it's councils. There may be some things that's fairly clear that it's Aranas, and there may be some things that it's not clear at all. I can imagine that you're going to have with some redundancy that you actually cannot explain who owns it.
Councillor O'Hara?
Yeah, just one thing, I think we're missing the point here. Nothing left in Wadmore House belongs to all.
Mm.
Obviously for them, it was easier for them to give it all to council than it was to clean it up. That's why it was given to the council. So everything that's in Orana, in Wadmore House, belongs to the Coorong Council.
I think there's a lack of documentation to make that absolutely efficient.
That's the problem. There's no documentation for any.
But there is a principle of law. And it involves, possession, 19th. And look, it's actually a very real principle of law. I mean, cases have been solved on that. And so the passage of time would indicate that, they no longer have a vested interest in the property and as items left, and council is the owner of the property.
No. Director of Roads and Infrastructure.
Sorry. Through the chair, I think the sensible way forward here, and it's actually quite timely because our asset administrators are working through condition assessment and revaluation of all our land, buildings and structures. So when we get to this site, and in conjunction kind of with point 2 with the motion, I think we need to understand what is of value, because I walk through there and there's a lot of stuff where it's that far gone, it needs to be thrown out. And there's obviously some items that are of value. So we need to get some good guidance from Councillor Bland of what are the items of value that will capture as a valued asset, and then that'll give us the best ability to provide something of substance for point 3 that can be considered.
Councillor O'Hara.
Yeah, and I mean also too, I mean, let's say, I mean, we lose the argument to have this new nursery at Wadmore and you build it at Tailem Bend. You're going to need all that stuff. And it's going to save us a lot of money by knowing that we've already got it down there.
Any other councillors wish to enter debate? Councillor Mayman or Coleman? Councillor Roundtree?
I'll close.
Thank you. I'll put the motion. All those in favour? Those against? Voting for the motion is Councillor O'Hara, Maidment, Roundtree and Coleman. Voting against the motion is Councillor Arthur. The motion is carried. Moving on to 12.2, questions without notice. Any questions without notice from members? There being none. Motions with notice, there are none. Motions without notice, any motions without notice from members? There being none, we'll move on to the minute action list, 14. Is there any questions from members regarding the minute action list? Councillor Roundtree.
283.25 around the Carnarvon Hall Committee. Just wondering why we need a 3-month engagement period and what are we engaging about and for? This has taken quite a long time to get to this point, and I just sort of feel like it's a fairly simple thing that I could perhaps put something in the newsletter asking for people to get involved and contact council, and we could have a committee going. I'm just wondering what the 3-month engagement period is about.
I'll go to the Director of Community and Corporate.
Standard process for community engagement. But 3 months to me would be seeking expressions of interest and membership, a session with council to determine, if you had, and it might not be the case, but if you had more expressions of interest than you had
Right.
members, it might be.
It might. Can we shorten it?
Or does council has to make it?
Can we shorten that period? Does it need, because 3 months now takes it out to what, March? And it's like, I just don't see why this needs to be as complicated as we're making it.
If I may, I think that's March council meeting that the report come back to. Is that correct?
I think that would be.
So the expressions of interest will go out after Christmas.
Which means we wouldn't make appointments till April?
No, so I believe, if I may, that the appointments would be at the March meeting, that it would come back to council with the completion date of the March meeting.
Okay.
Any further questions on the minute action list? Councillor Roundtree?
Just one more on 293.25, just, and I might have read this wrong, under the notes, this is to do with the establishment of the health committee. It just says under notes, Governance and Policy Review Working Group reviewed the terms of reference on the 5th of December. I didn't think we did. I didn't think we did.
We did look at a very brief overview
Just not the overview.
of what you had submitted
Yeah,
and then what was going to be the process going forward.
okay, all right. Just wanted to double check that that's all I have.
Thank you, councillor Roundtree. Any further questions on the minute action list? There being none, we'll move on to confidential items. For those watching the live stream, please be advised that the meeting is about to move into confidence and the live stream will stop. For those who wish to view the end of the meeting, the video will be available on YouTube after today. We might have
So you can finish off with this.
This brings to a close the council meeting held on the 16th of December, closing at 1:06. And I'd just like to congratulate the current director, Miles, on his appointment as the interim CEO following the departure of our current CEO, Bridget. And again, Bridget, thank you for your 6 years of service.
Thank you.
And what was that?